Hi, today is a very good day, so I have decided that I'm going to test some products out on camera. I've been doing a lot of testing of products off camera recently because I'm not really an emotional person, but I'm in need of HRT. And all of a sudden I've gone from being a non-emotional person to sobbing every single day. Today, not cried once. So I thought we'd make the most of it. We are going to be trying out products from Valentino, Laura Mercier, YSL, Tom Ford, Lisa Eldridge, and Bobbi Brown. We're going to get straight on with it until, you know, the floodgates open again and I just can't stop. I just can't stop. You can't close the floodgates once they're open. It's very difficult. I've popped a bit of eyeshadow on my eyelids and powdered that in place. No fancy eyeshadow primers necessary for this. I just wanted to prep the eyelids for eyeshadow. I've got 4 different palettes I could use in this video. Makeup by Mario, Givenchy, Patrick Tar, but I've chosen the Bobbi Brown Dream Gleam Luxe eyeshadow palette because I wore this in a recent video and I got so many comments, and I'm not surprised because I saw Charlotte Holcroft with this on her eyes and I was just mesmerised by her eyeshadow look, which is why I bought it in the first place, and it has not disappointed. So I'm going to be using this today and recreating the look that I got all of the questions about in that recent video. This is the most beautiful palette. It can transform a day look to an evening look in a split second. It is really versatile. You've got 4 mattes, which are super, super smooth and soft. You've also got 4 metallic shimmers, which are creamy and smooth and really punchy. I'm gonna go straight into this shade down here and create a crease. These shadows are seriously pigmented, so you don't need a lot on your brush, so I do like to apply a little bit, tap in the palette a couple of times, and then knock off the excess, because you really don't need a lot on your brush. Having said that, if you do get too much on your brush, these are also incredibly easy to blend out. I'm not cleaning off my brush, which by the way is the BK Beauty Nikki LaRose N13 brush. I'm going to dip into this creamy tone shade, which I am so glad is in this palette, and I'm just going to buff around the edges of the deeper shade that we just laid down, just to make sure I've got a really seamless blend. I don't want it to look like I've got masses of eyeshadow on. I just want it to be an extension of my skin. And this shade definitely does that. It's just beautiful. If you get aggravated every single time you buy an eyeshadow palette because all of the shades are a little bit too deep for you, if you have a fair skin tone like me, you will really love this palette because every single shade that's in here is usable. And if you have a deeper skin tone than me, this shade is absolutely fantastic for all over the lid to really brighten up that eye, inner corner highlight. I really, really love the fact that they've put this in here. Now, to add a little bit of fun to the equation, I'm going into the darkest goldy toned sparkle to begin with. I mean, look how much pigment that picks up. It is so beautiful, so metallic. I'm gonna go onto the outer corner to begin with, just in patting motions and just building that up with a little bit of pressure, only going on the outer half of my eye, and then I'm going to add a bit of brightness to that center. So you can build up as much as you want depending on how vibrant and chunkily you want your eyeshadow. I love that word, chunkily. I don't actually think it's a word, but Wes's granny used to say that my engagement ring shunkled instead of sparkled, and it just stuck, and so we use it all the time in this house. Once I've got the desired depth, go into the more champagne lighter gold and just press that all the way to that inner corner. Look at the payoff immediately. And because this is actually quite a wet shadow, it's really creamy and soft, you don't get the fallout, or at least I don't get the fallout if I apply it in this way. Next up, taking my Refer 29 brush, dipping into the deepest matte, really rich brown tone, and I'm just going to create a little wing just to add a bit more depth and definition on that outer corner. I very, very rarely take my liner to the inner corner. I like to concentrate on that outer section because it just lifts my eye up a little bit. So I'm just going to press that on and then join the dot, and it is as simple as that. I have quite deep set eyes, and I do find that the darker my eyeshadow or the bolder my eyeliner, the deeper my eyes seem to look. So I'm just going to soften off that liner using the first shade that we used. Just this adds a level of softness and also adds a level of cohesiveness. It just ties everything together really nicely. I'm gonna leave the eye look there for just a second. I will come back to it in a little bit, but I am going to work on my skin and get it all evened out and looking beautiful. This Very Valentino foundation is one of my favorites at the moment. It is in my top drawer and I'm reaching for it all the time. So the shade that I've gone for is LN1. It is a beautiful, very lightweight fluid consistency. It feels like nothing on my skin and it looks like skin. It's got a level of radiance in there that is not too overpowering, so my skin doesn't look sweaty, but it's also not too matte either, so my skin doesn't look flat. This is also not one of those foundations that you need to work super quickly with for fear that it's going to dry down and look cakey. You have a lot of playtime with this, which I really, really like. So beautiful. If you're after a very natural looking foundation with quite a good long wear capability, then this would be one of my recommendations. And I was actually expecting this to be astronomically expensive, and actually it's cheaper than a Dior foundation, so I was pleasantly surprised. Obviously it's still on the luxury end, it's not going to be an affordable choice, but it's definitely one of my favorites right now, and yeah, I think it's worth every single penny. This foundation is also incredibly versatile, so I like to apply it in very thin layers with the brush. I can get anything from light coverage to a full medium coverage applying it this way. If I want something even lighter, I apply it with a damp sponge, and that's how I get something that is incredibly skin-like. But I haven't had a day where I haven't had a good skin day when I've been wearing this foundation, and I think that speaks volumes. So I've got a couple of dry patches around my mouth, and usually if I'm wearing a long-wearing foundation, that foundation will sit in that dryness, accentuate and irritate the dryness, and this is a long-wearing formula, and I don't think you would know unless you got really up close with a magnifying glass that I had dry skin around my mouth. Now this is a hydrating formula, but it's not overly nourishing, which I really, really like. So although this isn't going to dry out my skin, it's also not going to be one of those formulas that I have to be really careful with my skincare prior to application for fear that this is going to slip off my face. It doesn't do that. I really like it. I've just popped a little bit of the Huda Beauty Faux Filter Corrector in the shade Peach underneath my eyes because I have picked up the same formula in a concealer. This is the Very Valentino concealer in the shade LN3. This has a lovely applicator, although I don't particularly use the applicator. It's really nicely shaped. It really does hug the contours of the eyes. It means that you don't get too much in one spot. Very easy to apply, but as always, I like to apply it on the back of my hand before I go in underneath my eyes. Now I have to be honest, I haven't had the same success with the concealer as I've had with the foundation. That does not mean that this is a bad formula, it's just that I like a different thing from my concealer as I like with my foundation. I like my foundation to be super natural. I like my concealer to have a lot more punch, a lot more coverage, and this is a very similar formula to the foundation in the sense that it is very versatile, but it's not going to give me full coverage. So I shall just show you. I'm going in with my Nikki LaRose N16 brush. This is one of those concealers that blends beautifully into bare skin. So if you don't like wearing a lot of makeup, but you just want to cover over a couple of imperfections, dark circles, any blemishes, any pigmentation, this will really soften off those imperfections while still maintaining that very, very natural look to the skin. This is so soft and so diffusing. It is a spectacular concealer. I have had to apply 2 layers of the concealer to get the coverage that I personally like. And because I've had to apply 2 layers, I am going to have to set this down because the concealer will crease throughout the day. If I only applied 1 layer, this is less likely to crease on me, but because of my preferences, I have had to build it up. I've just added a little bit of this creamy gold shade underneath the lash line. Usually, if it's a sparkly shadow, this goes absolutely everywhere on my under eyes and completely ruins my concealer. But because this is a really creamy texture, this is really quite easy to apply. So all the way underneath that lash line, just to open up that eye and give it just a little bit of something extra. This is a very special shadow. Then I'm going to take the slightly darker, more bronzy tone, take off the excess on the outside of the palette, and then just apply that to that outer corner. Curl my lashes. Then I'm going to pop on some of the Laura Mercier Caviar Extravagant Mascara. This is a really nice mascara. You've got a fluffy edge and you've got a flat edge to the wand, which I really like, because if you want to pack on that product, you use the flat edge. If you want to brush through the lashes to create a more lifted and separated look, you use the bushy bit of the brush to comb through. I really love the effect of this mascara. I love the way it looks. I think it's really beautiful, very flattering on my lashes. It did take a lot longer than my usual go-to mascara though. When I use a wet mascara, I only ever need 2 coats. Because this is such a dry formula, it took 3, maybe 4 coats to get this look. So if you love a dry mascara, you may want to give this a go because the time and effort definitely paid off. But if you really like a wet formula, I don't think you're going to like this. I've already applied some bronzer to warm up my skin a little bit, and I'm going to start applying my lip products. Going in first with the Lisa Eldridge Enhance and Define Lip Pencil in the shade Fawn. This shade is absolute perfection on me. It's super natural looking. It just adds a hint of warmth whilst being really close to my natural lip colour. I also absolutely love the texture and consistency of this product. It's really soft, it's really smooth, and you can go over the same area of lip multiple times without any waxy build-up. Because I like to overline my lips slightly, I do like to go in with lip liner first. I just think this helps to create that template border so I know where my lipstick's going to sit, and then if I need a little bit more definition after I've applied my lipstick, I can always go back in with my liner. Can we just talk about the brand new Lisa Eldridge Rouge Experience refillable lipsticks for a second? Because I'm absolutely head over heels in love with this, and there's been a lot of chatter online. I think some people are really offended by the price of this. Now, let me just address that straight away. This is marketed for those people who love luxury packaging. If that is not you, there are other lipsticks on the Lisa Eldridge website that will probably take your fancy over this one and come at less of a cost. Having said that, you are paying for the packaging, you're only paying for it once because this is going to last you forever. And then as soon as you need a new lipstick, you buy a refill. And those refills for me, personally, are really reasonably priced for what you're getting because the lipsticks are rich, are creamy, are luxurious, are really hydrating and nourishing on the lips. You can get full opacity from them, or if you want something slightly more muted and soft, you can dab it on for less opacity, for that softer look. I love this. The packaging just oozes vintage luxury. It is elegant. It is height of vintage glam. There's nothing gaudy about it. It is not glitzy. It is just very elegant and beautiful. My only negative, and it is only a small negative, is that there aren't enough shades to choose from. Lisa has introduced 8 new shades. I've gone for the shade Simone. It is beautiful, but it is just on the verge of having too much depth for me and making me feel a little washed out. So I would like to see some lighter tone shades introduced to the collection because the formula is rich. It is creamy, it is smoothing, hydrating, nourishing, non-drying. That satin sheen on the surface of the lips is stunning. So I would love a few more to choose from. Hopefully, with growing popularity of this lipstick, some more shades will be introduced. I'm keeping all fingers crossed, but really love it. It's a very lightweight formula. It almost feels like nothing on my lips. It's definitely nothing heavy and nothing chalky and nothing bitty or drying at all. Moving on to a bit of blush. This is the reason that I like to do my lips first before blush. I like to re-examine my face once I have some lipstick on to see how much blush I actually need to apply, because I don't want to go overboard, although I often do, but I also don't want to go underboard. Is that even a thing? Anyway, we're going to use it. I'm going to go for the YSL Make Me Blush liquid blushes. I know these aren't brand new, but they are brand new to me. Again, picked these up in the Sephora sale. So I'm just applying a little bit of this on the back of my hand. And I do think it's really important with any liquid blush to apply them in this way. Some people apply them with their fingers and I see them go on quite patchy because it's a lot of product in one area and then you're trying to blend out from there. Whereas if you apply it on the back of your hand like this and go in with a flat brush like my Refa 17 brush, coat the full tip of the brush and then very lightly tap it on the face, I think you get a smoother, easier application. And just look at that. I mean, oh, it's just divine. This is actually more matte than I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be seriously luminous, a little bit like the Giorgio Armani liquid blushes. This to me has a more airbrushing effect to it, which I really like. I actually have 2 shades of these, the shade 57 and the shade 37. The shade 37 is definitely my favorite. It's the shade that I applied today. I just think it looks more natural. It looks like a natural flush from within the skin rather than blush sitting on top of the skin. So easy to apply, really beautiful, very easy to blend out. Again, very natural looking, really quite airbrushing on my skin without completely knocking all of the luminosity out of my skin and making my skin look flat. What is not to like? I've obviously already got lipstick on. Usually wearing this lipstick, I wouldn't apply a gloss or a topper over the top because this lipstick does it all, but I'm going to today because I want to share with you this particular lip gloss that I bought and I feel like I've been scammed royally with this. So I really do love Tom Ford lip glosses. They are obscenely expensive. I still absolutely adore the bones of my Sunlust lip gloss, which is slightly peachy and a little bit sparkly, but you don't see the sparkles on the lip. They just make the lips look bouncier and plumper and just beautiful. So I saw this lipstick being advertised on the Selfridges website and the name of it was Peach Flush. Peach Flush. So I thought it was going to resemble my Sunlust lip gloss and I was going to love it just the same as I love that particular lip gloss. It turns out that when this arrived, it's actually called Peak Flush, not Peach Flush. And it doesn't resemble anything to do with peaches, to be quite honest, and it cost £50. 50. You heard me right, £50. I mean, a lot of you will be saying more fool you for paying that in the first place, and quite frankly, I would probably agree with you, but it's arrived now, and I've used it before I realised Selfridges' mistake. I mean, if peak actually means peach in French, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's pêche, isn't it?
Pêche.
So yeah, I don't think there's a translation issue in here. Am I wrong? Anyway, let's just get some of this on. It is incredibly smooth, very creamy, and the flavour is to die for. So I will use this, I will. It's glorious, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's a great accompaniment to any of my lipsticks that I have in my drawer, but not what I was expecting. So that's the finished look. I definitely think that the eyes steal the show here, which is probably why I had so many comments about this eye look when I wore it in a previous video. Please have your say about the products. Have you tried some of these products already? Did you like them? Did you not? Are you going to try them in the future? Or do you feel like these definitely aren't for you? Please let me know in the comment section. I am fully aware that I have only featured high-end or luxury products in this video. There will be a dedicated, affordable video coming extremely soon. So please don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave. Hope to see you all in the next one. Bye everyone.